Hello everyone, this is our review of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
We've got Quantumania.
We certainly do.
Which explains why a lot of these thoughts are incoherent and rambling.
That's definitely a part of it. Just so you know, this is an excerpt from our podcast, The Weekly Planet, which comes out every Monday. If you are interested, leave a like on this video. There is going to be a caravan of garbage and other stuff this week and whatever, but, you know, sometimes people are like, where are your reviews? Here's one.
Here's one, shut up.
Anyway, there's like a cool graphic that Fidel did, but you can listen to it or stare at the cool graphic.
Yeah, you can do both things, I reckon.
You know, so that's cool.
And I am going to take some tablets for my Quantumania.
Yeah.
It's itchy.
I'm not going to take any tablets.
Wow.
I'm going to fly blind right at it and through it, Mason. All right, here it is. Anyways, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
My goodness.
It's a big budget film. Apparently the budget is somewhere between $130 to $200 million. But at the box office, it's going to make in the US on a 3-day opening weekend $109 million, approximately, maybe a bit above that, which is not as good an opening as Wakanda Forever, which had a great opening weekend at like $180 million, but it's well above the previous Ant-Man movies.
Oh my, that's so...
Which doesn't surprise me. You know, that being said, like, critically, it's very mixed. It's currently 1% ahead of the Eternals at 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. But also, the audience score and also a lot of the feedback that I've seen from people is a lot of people also seem to enjoy what's going on here.
I'm enjoying what's going on here.
What do you think the story was, though?
Oh, okay, all right, hang on. Okay, so Ant-Man, Scott Lang, he's having a great time. He's living life and he's living large.
Yeah, as he should, by the way.
He's walking down the streets. Yeah,
I know
he's Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. It's funny because, like, there is a joke of like, oh, here he is. He's talking about how he saved the world again or whatever. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything after that. If you travel through time and stop like a universe, like extinction event, you just get to do nothing.
I mean, if he's really being honest with himself, it is the rat that saved the universe.
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
But then you could any random thing you could say save the universe.
In a way, Thanos saved the universe because he kicked off the whole destroying the universe.
Exactly, yeah.
Thing,
if we're going to get, you know.
And if he wasn't there to, you know, then they couldn't have saved it. So they'd be looking pretty stupid, wouldn't they?
I completely agree.
Oh, just standing around waiting for somebody to try and end the universe. Oh, you'd stop that if it were happening, would you? Well, it isn't happening.
Yeah.
So
shut
egg
up.
on your face. So anyway, Scott Lang, he's living life, he's living large, he's walking down the street.
Yep.
He's got a little book. He's written a book about being...
Which you can get, apparently.
Yeah, so it's on its way, I think. I wonder who's writing that.
Dunno.
I mean, Scott Lang, obviously.
Yeah.
But then his daughter, he's like, what are you up to? I mean, you've been recast, obviously.
You look different.
Yeah, but she's like, well, I mean, you know, I've been spending time working on my appearance and also I built this plot device.
Yep.
I'm building this plot device that's going to drive this whole movie. Should I switch it on? And Scott Lang's like, why not?
Yeah, all right.
But then Michelle Pfeiffer's like, nah, don't. Don't, come on.
Oh, it's too late.
It's too late. We've been sucked into the quantum realm.
Yep.
Bad news.
Yeah. Who's in there?
It's all Kang.
Yeah.
Kang and others.
Other stuff
and Kang and whatever.
Various clouds and...
Yeah, clouds and
goos and...
Goo, a lot of
guns
goo.
and flying stingrays.
Goos and gunk and flying stuff and big space and rings and and goopy men and big buildings that walk around and... Modoc's in there also. Yeah.
All of that is in there.
Yeah, it's all, yeah.
So, you know, after this movie finished, my reaction was, this was it.
I'm excited for this.
It's just like, all right. And that was it.
Yeah,
it's just like, okay.
I mean, a lot, you know, and I think maybe the you know, each time a new Marvel movie comes out, with probably the exception of Wakanda Forever, but for the last few, every time one comes out, there has been a slew of articles that are like, this is the end of cinema. This is a real step down.
Do you think it's real this time? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think that. I thought, you know, I came away from this. I had two thoughts. One is I thought this was like, it felt like just maybe an issue of a comic book.
Yeah.
And you read it and you go, this was pretty good. Pretty wild away the time, didn't it? But at the same time, every criticism I've heard of this movie, I'm like, that is quite valid.
Yeah. I would say I probably liked it less than that even then, because there's some stuff in it that I quite liked, but there are other parts that I'm like, I don't. I think the biggest part for this, and I guess we'll talk more about this in spoilers as well, like often these things lead to a bigger thing.
Ooh.
Right. And that can often be like...
Sometimes there's post-credit sequences that leave you hyped.
And you go, whoa, whatever, you know? But I feel like even though I know this is part of a bigger story, I didn't come out of this being like, oh, damn, this is really like heating up. It was literally like, all right.
Well, it's led to me. It gave me a lot of questions. I
Yeah,
think I think in spoilers we're going to talk extensively about Kang and how many Kangs there are, and what
does that mean?
What does that mean in terms of plot and Kang versus the Avengers in future movies? What does it mean? You know, the sheer number of Kangs that there are.
Yeah.
How many are they going to face, etc.
And I also think how good a movie is, or how good any of the movies I've enjoyed from like this universe or whatever other universe, my enjoyment isn't like dependent on the end and I go, ooh, what's next or whatever. So you know, I don't think it's fair to be like, well, you know, I'm not really that excited for what's next or whatever. So this whole thing was like, it was all right.
Sure. Yes.
You know? I didn't really love a lot of the quantum realm. It felt like there was like a roof on it.
It did, didn't it?
And, you know,
it starts out, here's the thing, because it started out quite mixed. The first time we see the quantum realm in the movie, it's a flashback sequence to Michelle Pfeiffer's character's time in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And there is a moment that sort of we see her like walking, we see her sort of top down walking through the quantum realm overhead. And I'm like, okay, that looks pretty expansive.
Yeah.
But the very first shot, it does feel like it's just standing in a room with a matte painting behind them. There are so many shots in this movie that could feel expansive and exciting, but they just feel like they're staged so flatly. It does look like Michael Flatley.
Yeah, very good.
That it just looks like two people at opposite ends of a screen, of the screen talking to one another in a room, and there's just a...
It's either the volume or green screen.
Look behind. It's all of eternity. Isn't that exciting, you know?
Yeah. And no, a lot of the time. And I like the commitment to like the weird creatures and like a Star Wars bar and your transports, a big stingray and whatever, and the strange weapons. But I also thought it was strange where like they'll see like Paul Rudd and they're like, oh, what's this guy? What is he doing here? That's out of place. And it's like fucking Bill Murray lives here. Why is this guy weird? He looks like every second person here is a man.
Right.
Like, why is that strange? You know?
Great question.
And I know that like they're probably distinct from humans in many ways. But I don't understand why anybody would care that they're there. Or would anybody would, you know, you put a cloak on and then it's like you're
maybe
anybody.
It's a smell thing.
Maybe it is a smell thing.
Maybe you smell like you're not from the quantum realm.
But, you know, I like that there's a funny little squishy man.
Sure,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I thought the guy from The Quiet Place, William Jackson Harper, was great.
Do you mean The Good Place?
What did I say?
I said The Quiet Place.
He's not in The Quiet Place. That's a
great.
different movie, Mason.
It's not a thing, I don't
different
think.
franchise.
I don't think it's anything.
It's a different franchise.
You're thinking of A Quiet Place.
I am thinking of A Quiet Place. I wish I was in a bloody quiet place right now. For your criticisms, Mason.
The Quiet Place is like when you're in your car just after you get home.
Yeah.
There's just a moment where you're like,
I do like that place.
Yeah, right.
He's great, but he's like barely in it and he's like nobody.
Yeah.
I know there was like rumors that he was going to be like Quasar or something, and maybe he could be down the line.
And
like, if you're putting him in it,
I think a lot of people, you know, doing dream casting wanted him to be Mr. Fantastic at some point down the line. That was an option because obviously he was Cheaty in The Quiet Place.
Yeah,
as you know,
my car,
your car, he was in your car,
in the driveway.
That's right. Yeah. Well, it's also what are those characters' names?
I think he's Quaz.
He's
Quaz,
Quaz.
but I only know that because I saw an article
up just now.
I saw an article prior that was like, is he Quasar or whatever?
Because his name was Quaz, and people were like, he must be Quasar
or whatever. Okay. And you know, there's like buildings are alive and whatever. I don't mind any of that. You know, I like a weird space bar. That's all fine and dandy. But you know, as I said, it did kind of feel like it had a roof on it. And here's something that I know you don't like, so I wanted to ask you about it.
Yes, here we go.
Well, both of us don't really like it, like the nanotech suits.
Right.
And this is like a button you put on your chest and it makes an Ant-Man suit around
I mean,
you.
obviously, I think they probably had to work backwards. They're like, okay, why would the characters be wearing their...
If he's tumbling into the quantum realm.
How would they end up in the quantum realm in their Ant-Man suits? And the answer is obviously that they tap a little button and they're wearing them underneath, or they're in a necklace or something, or they've sticky taped it to their chest.
No, I think it's like a medallion that he like.
Okay, all right.
He like just slaps on him.
He's carrying it.
Yeah, he's carrying it.
Yeah, okay,
I believe.
right.
Yeah, I might be wrong.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but at least it was what I appreciated. It was the
I didn't mind the design though.
Yeah, the design's pretty good, and it's the helmet is the kind of flip forward, flip back model, as opposed to the just forms around your face nanotech style.
Okay, sure.
Not very interesting kind of style. Yeah.
I still like the original one that like flips up, and you still got like the rest of it on. But I guess that's not very cool. You know, like the faceplate.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, that's not cool.
It's not cool. And you got to be
cool.
cool in the quantum
You
realm,
gotta be
don't
cool
you?
in the quantum realm, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I think what Marvel does great is casting, and I think what sold most of this movie to me, I think, was Paul Rudd. You know, as Ant-Man. I don't know if you're aware.
He's very good.
He's very good.
I think I like him in other people's movies though more.
Oh, I see.
When he's there's a bunch of other better Avengers around.
Oh, sure.
You know,
there is
or perceived to be.
We'll talk about it in spoilers, but I think for me the price of admission, which was $0 for me, but in normal circumstances I would have paid for the ticket. It was worth it. But there's one joke right at the end, which I thought was just right, just perfect for me. I thought it was a wonderful joke.
Okay,
but I'll tell you about it later.
Right.
But Paul Rudd was great, and I think Jonathan Majors as Kang,
very good,
or as a Kang, he's got a nuance to him, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
You know, he's a complicated character,
and nobody understands him but Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's right.
Yeah, Kang. Yeah.
But I think he really sells maybe some. I think maybe Kang is not a fully developed character necessarily, but I think Jonathan Majors sells him better. He sells the material better than it's worth. I think.
Yeah.
Thus far at this point.
Sure, I think he's gonna have to do a lot of heavy lifting down the line.
Yeah.
And a lot of different voices.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And I think that's gonna be interesting to see, like, play out. But no, I like him though. I think it could spiral wildly in later stuff, and maybe not necessarily in a good way.
Absolutely,
but that's more stuff that we'll talk about in
I wondered the degree to which Marvel have got a handle on what they want Kang to be.
Yeah,
because his characterization. This is a different Kang than the one we saw in Loki.
Yeah, who's
Nathaniel Richards. He who remains.
So this guy's, I think, also Nathaniel Richards.
They would all be, I think.
Yeah, who might be a descendant of Reed Richards or Dr. Demo or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the characterizations are different, but they have some similarities. But I have to wonder what we're going to get. We'll talk about it in spoilers. But yeah,
cool.
What else? Here's a critique that I saw.
Wow,
it was the fun of Ant-Man.
Mason, your ticket was free. It was via Disney. You could at least say some more nice things.
Oh yeah, it's a good point.
I thought
yes.
Catherine Newton was very good, but I thought how they recast Emma Furman, who apparently found out on social media.
Brutal.
That wasn't very cool.
Not
and
cool
also,
at all.
you could have kept her because I thought she was great in Endgame.
It's interesting. Is it just somebody had a better agent?
I guess. I don't know.
Also, Catherine Newton apparently very good at golf.
I mean, that's great.
Her handicap is +2.
That's my handicap.
It's not. You're a liar.
Yeah, that's true. But at least I just, I'll go with you on something. You'll say something, then I'll say something.
True, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's good.
I think that is good, yeah.
I'd say Michael Douglas is like cranky and fun.
You know what I liked about, I don't know if it's on the behalf of the writers, I don't know if it's the director, I don't know if it's where Michael Douglas wanted to go with the character. What I liked is in this one, he's just become a man who's going slightly senile, but he loves ants. That's his whole deal now.
Yeah.
He's lost some of his edge, but he's like, he just wants to talk
I
about
made
ants.
really smart ants.
I made smart ants. Oh, which reminds me, we'll get into
Why?
Yeah, we'll get into the
Why'd
spoilers.
you do that?
This movie does sort of end with a Deus Ex Machina that isn't a Deus Ex Machina only in the sense that it gets like maybe a couple of minutes of explanation throughout the movie where it's just, they just be like...
That's very generous, couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say 13 seconds in total. But yeah, but I mean, when it happened, I wasn't like, what? Like I knew.
Sure.
I knew.
Yeah.
I thought Michelle Pfeiffer, though, really good.
Yeah.
Really great. Gets a lot of play in this because she knows Kang. Like she'd met, this version, she'd met him before. They'd interacted. She knows the quantum realm and
met him at a barbecue.
Yeah, met him at a barbecue. Like clearly haunted by all of it. But I think in doing so, it makes Evangeline Lilly's character like very minor in this. Like she does some stuff, especially towards the end.
For a movie called Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Should be called Ant-Man and Michelle Pfeiffer Quantumania.
That's right, and Evangeline Lilly's in it a bit. But yeah, there's not a lot of team up.
No.
And obviously, the idea being, of course, that they're...
I think they just had to because the last one was Ant-Man and the Wasp, so they had to like keep that going.
But I think because they were like, okay, well, we'll split them apart for narrative reasons and we'll bring them back at the end and then that's it'll be a very satisfying finish kind of thing.
Sure.
But I don't know, you just have them team up most of the
Names
movie.
on the thing,
Anyway, I was going to
whatever.
say one of the criticisms of this movie was that the fun of Ant-Man is he's a tiny little man in a regular sized world, and look at him interacting with all the big stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I agree, but also we have had 2 movies of that. And it's like saying, okay, well, the best part of Iron Man is when he's in the super hyper advanced suit and he's just mowing down legions of bad guys. And it's like, that is cool, but also like the best part of Iron Man 3 was when he didn't have the suit.
And he was having a panic attack.
And he was having a panic attack, which is always fun for everybody. But like, to show him out of his element.
Yeah.
And I thought that is true. That being said, there's a moment in this where Ant-Man and his daughter are giant-sized.
Yeah.
And it's like, are they though? They're just in the void. But there's a moment where Scott is like, "Oh my god, you're so big."
Yeah.
And it's like, you just look like 2 normal people.
Yeah.
There's no.
It's like hugging Godzilla. It's
Yeah.
like, well, but you're that size.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. It had a little heist, sort of. You got to put a little heist in an
That's
Ant-Man
true.
movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. To
was
get one of the plot devices. Sure.
Yeah, and there was like weird reality stuff and whatever, and I didn't mind any of that. I don't know. Could it have been? It's like I don't want to say like this all could have been weirder because like it was pretty weird,
yeah,
right?
You're right.
But I don't
But
know.
it also sort of washes over you.
Yeah,
a
I
little
don't think
bit.
I was like wowed by any of it in particular. Okay, you know what we do have to talk about?
Yes.
Modoc.
Sure.
This has
Okay.
been
Yeah.
a big talking point. So now the thing about Modoc in the comics is he's fucking hideous, right? And
Right,
he's,
yes.
He's awful and he's rude and he's mean. And I think they did all of that, but in a different way. Like he is hideous. This is in the trailers if you don't know, but you can skip if you want. But it's Yellow Jacket. It's Darren Cross from the first Ant-Man when he got squished into the quantum realm. He was
Yes.
rescued and he was made into Modoc.
Yes.
And he's a big, stretched out CGI face, and you see him naked at one point. He's got a dangly little bottom and whatever.
That's right.
And he's just this weird little creep, psycho kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I understand the criticism of like, God, that looks like shit. But I also think like he's hideous. Like he's supposed to be hideous, and this is just a different kind of hideous.
Right.
I don't know.
Sure.
What do you think? I'm not going to go in like defending it. Like, don't get me wrong. But I guess what I'm saying is I didn't hate it as much as other people would necessarily.
Yeah, I mean,
And because I think they had to make him look like Darren Cross.
Yes,
and
exactly.
if you give him the full Modoc, maybe
he could
you
look like
lose him
anybody.
in
Yeah,
that,
I think you're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it also helps that who's the actor that plays Darren Cross?
Corey
Isn't it?
Stoll.
Corey Stoll. It helps that he was bald in the
Sure.
first movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a
Is
lot.
Modoc bald? Hasn't he got like a tuft of hair?
I guess he does have a little tuft of hair.
Doesn't
doesn't
matter
he?
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess it helps that, I don't know, it sort of mostly worked. I don't know, yeah.
It is stuff that like it's upsetting to look at.
Yes.
But I think that's good because it's Modoc maybe.
Apparently, I read that Paul Rudd wanted to do a smaller scale movie. Like that was his...
Next time around.
Or maybe even this time around.
Because
Like,
they're all kind of small scale though,
Oh,
right? Don't you
yeah.
feel though? Like 1 and 2 are pretty like...
Well, I mean, yeah, but this one is, the entire universe is at stake.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I think he apparently he wanted this one to be equally small and just be
okay.
but it would involve AIM and Modoc. Like they were the two
Yeah,
elements.
okay.
And
I don't mind that.
yeah.
I don't mind the idea of that.
But again, or maybe people would get sick of just like, oh, it's a little... You know what this missed out on? Where was Michael Pena?
I have that exact note. Yeah.
Right.
They should have brought him in to the quantum realm.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Imagine that guy walking into a weird Star Wars bar and
Yeah.
whatever. That would have all been really
Exactly,
fun.
yeah.
Him and David Melcham would have been great. There's no like Judy Greer or Bobby Cannavale.
Is in this.
Is he?
Yeah.
When?
He's the man. He's the little man.
What little man?
The squelchy man.
He's the voice of that guy?
Yeah.
I thought that was Jonathan Groff.
No.
Well, I mean that actor. Like that character.
Yeah, he's
like,
the slime creature.
No, the character he plays.
Yes, oh yeah.
Because
Because
he's a guy in the
exactly.
movie.
You're absolutely right.
I can't put T.I. in for reasons I won't get into.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and I think maybe was Judy Greer and Bobby Cannavale in like a table scene, a family scene maybe, and I missed it potentially?
No, they're not in it at all.
I know like Randall Park makes a small cameo. But even like put him in the quantum realm. He's great.
Yeah.
I think too many fucking ant people going in. Put in a regular person
regular guy.
who like is maybe has something funny to say.
Right.
Because quite frankly, it's just not that funny a movie either. And the Ant-Man movies, generally, they're more funny than this was. I just didn't think it was that funny.
You put Jimmy Woo in.
Yeah.
You put Jimmy Woo in, and he gets carried away by some villagers or whatever, and you think he's dead, and then you go back later, and he's the king of the village because he knows card tricks.
He knows card tricks.
You're like, whoa.
We love you, Jimmy Woo.
This guy's a wizard, they'd say.
Yeah, he's a wizard.
We love you, Jimmy Woo, they would say. You want to hear from this? I read this Vulture review today. It's from
What's a bird doing reviewing movies anyway? Nice.
Bloody didn't have nice things to say about that Spider-Man movie, The
Oh,
Vulture.
very good.
Anyway, this movie review is entitled "This Is a Cry for Help."
Oh my God. What, the review or the movie?
The movie.
Help me.
Yeah.
I don't want to write reviews.
I'm trapped in the cinema. It keeps playing Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. It opens with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is an atrocious movie, but it's atrocious in a way that Marvel movies rarely are.
Oh, wow. Why?
Up until now, the films of the MCU have for the most part managed to strike up a decent blend of sentiment, jokey humor, and superhero daring do. I've never been quite so stupefied by a Marvel movie the way I was by Quantumania.
Okay.
It looks like the filmmakers themselves were bored putting it on screen. Looks like they were meant to be a knockoff version of George Lucas's space operas.
Sure.
It doesn't have any of Lucas's earnestness or imagination or Waititi's irreverent prankster sensibility here. Totally listless, performances failing to convey either wonderment or terror.
Do you think that's a green screen volume
maybe
situation?
Yeah.
Where, like, how are you supposed to joke and quip if you're standing across from nothing?
Yeah.
You're like, wow, what about all this?
Do you think Michael Douglas actually put his hands in anything slimy? Not to do with
Sure,
slimy.
probably not.
Yeah,
I did see a couple scenes where, like, maybe he was.
I think they should have made him put his hands in jelly.
Yeah, I agree.
But not tell him was jelly. Say, put your hands in this, mate.
Yeah.
And he would have been like, what is this? And they'd be like, we'll never tell you.
We won't tell you.
Probably not jelly, though. Something gross, probably.
Tell you at the rap party.
The problem isn't that such bits, jokey bits, aren't funny. They sometimes are, but they reveal a noxious carelessness beneath the slipshod filmmaking.
Jesus.
This is not humor designed to enhance what you're seeing or even to cleverly undercut it. There's a lifeless bitterness to it all, like a dumb nothing matters joke you might make while working a tedious, demeaning job you can't wait to leave.
Is that us?
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure it'll make lots of money, but Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania might be the first time I've ever found myself genuinely sorry for the people who make one of these movies. It feels like a cry for help. See, here's the thing. I feel like every once in a while people decide that they're all...
This is the one.
This is the one that I'm going to take a shot at. And I think, and often I feel like also it's sometimes a case of one person will sort of break the dam in terms of doing a mean review, and then other people will like...
I think if this came out in like 2016, 2017, completely different response as well. I mean, there's obviously stuff that you couldn't do in it because of like Kang and whatever, the current villains. But I think there is a point where you're like, there's a lot of this shit.
Sure,
and maybe this is the breaking point.
Because
I certainly do not think it is the worst MCU movie.
I think this was this guy's breaking point.
Yeah.
He mentions earlier that he's watched them all multiple times with his kids, and I'm like, I think this is probably you probably cracked it.
I liked it more than Love and Thunder.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too, but for me personally, that's a very low bar.
Should we do best movie ever, worst movie ever?
Yes,
We'll do our famous rating and then we'll do some spoilers.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to say best movie ever. I certainly didn't hate it.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to because I didn't hate it, but I was like,
I think there was enough of this. I think there was enough of a plot that I didn't go, oh, this is just a preview for the next thing. Like I know, obviously, it's gonna.
I mean, it is, but sure.
Yes.
but yeah, you weren't like. This is an overwhelming amount of like, okay,
nothing. This is
when can we just watch the next thing already?
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway,
did you felt it retread a lot of stuff like multiverse related?
Yes. So we in spoilers now?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, that's the thing. So I wonder if this felt like a soft reboot of Kang, the previous Kang.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's because they thought the production, Kevin Feige, etc., thought, well, perhaps people didn't watch Loki. We know, Kang's an important villain for this next phase.
Yeah.
Perhaps people didn't watch Loki, or they did watch Loki, but they can't really remember what his deal was. So they probably
even looked at the numbers of like how many people watched Loki.
Yeah, and they made a calculation. Because for people who don't remember Loki, so the first time we meet a Kang, the one who remains, he was a scientist in the 31st century, and he discovered the existence of the multiverse. Then he met a...
Or did he?
Or what?
No, he did.
He did, thank you.
Yeah.
You just...
really threw you for a
That
second.
you really destroyed my confidence there. I'm like, what do I remember from this? Oh my God, maybe I don't remember anything. But then he meets another Kang from another dimension.
And they're like, cool.
This is cool. But then it turns out that some of the Kangs are like, ooh, the fact of the alternate dimensions, well, that means I can conquer these alternate dimensions with my incredible technology. And the one who remains Kang is like, we won't be having any of that. Stay out of my timeline or what have you.
True.
And so does he destroy the other timelines? Or do he simply cut them off?
No, he cut them all off. So he basically isolates everything.
The main MCU.
Well, yeah.
And he creates the TVA to prevent additional strands of multiverse coming off this particular universe. But then Sylvie kills him, which prevents the barriers from stopping the multiverse. The walls coming down. The walls come down, and then we've got all the multiverse. And the multiverse is all multiverse happening.
Yeah. And there's a statue. There's 4 statues in the lobby, and one of them is toppled.
Where is this in Loki?
This is in Loki.
Oh, in his sort of in his house at the end of the universe.
Exactly. So in
his little Airbnb.
And we meet 3 other Kangs at the end, which we'll talk about. So I guess he's the 4th one who was exiled, whose statue was toppled, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, initially, because they do look different. So the one who remains has a beard.
Yeah.
And all the other Kangs seem to have like sort of these scars down the sides of their faces. Representing, which is supposed to be, reminiscent of the mask that the comic book version character wears. And I think they're also supposed to look like tears because he's sad about what he has to do.
I don't doubt it.
But the one who remains wanted to prevent sort of total multiversal destruction.
Yeah.
This one also wants to prevent total multiversal destruction.
Yes, maybe.
So is there 2 rogue ones? And the rest just want to destroy everything or conquer everything?
Or just be a big team. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure because I think, I mean, he was enough of like a psycho that they decided to cut him off from all the other
Quantumania Kang, yes.
Yeah, they wanted to, and then as a result of that at the end.
But they're evil.
Yeah, but they're
he's
evil.
Also evil.
Yes, but he's also evil, but I guess he's more evil.
I thought he was less evil.
No, I thought he was more evil because he wanted to go back and get revenge, and then he was like, I'm going to destroy your universe, Janet Van Dyne.
I thought he was less evil
because remember she touched his ship and then he was like destroying everything?
Yeah, but wasn't he destroying everything to prevent more destroying?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got the impression that he's not a good guy, certainly, but he's the necessary evil guy.
Yeah.
And the other ones are like, yeah, we're gonna enslave the universe kind of thing. You know what I mean?
But it's interesting that when they decide to come out.
See, it's confusing, isn't it?
No, well, it is. Yeah. And I know all of it will be answered.
Will it? Or some of it be quietly dropped. Here's what I wonder. How do you think people are going to respond to the fact that the last guy was like a guy, he was sort of omniscient. He'd seen all of history.
Well, he'd seen it, so yeah.
He'd seen it, so he knew what everybody was going to do. So he's sort of undefeatable in that way. And then we've got this guy who is, he has great powers, and once he gets the suit on, he can shoot a laser, and etc. How do we feel the audience is going to feel like the next time we see another one? We're like, oh, it's another of these guys,
and he's dressed like a pharaoh, whatever the fuck.
Well, we see.
So it's Immortus, it's Ramatut, and Centurion.
How did your audience feel when they saw this?
I don't know. I don't remember there being any reaction.
My audience laughed.
Yeah,
because he's dressed as a pharaoh,
and they all got. I mean, how's he going to keep track of all these voices he's doing?
Well,
and then there's a stadium of them, and they're
all hooting and hollering in a way, which is that has happened in the comic books. We see a stadium, a coliseum full of Kangs and etc. But here's the question, I guess, is how are the Avengers going to defeat an infinite number of these guys who are all super powerful? What are they going to have to change?
Well, I wonder if they're going to morph them all into one guy at one point. So he'll have the combined knowledge. Maybe that would be an easy way to do it. But the Avengers movie is called Avengers Kang Dynasty, which is presumably battling all of them. And then the one after that is the Secret Wars. So it might be a situation where this guy or a version of Kang he's some kind of beyonder situation.
Yeah, right.
And then he does the Secret Wars where he brings everybody from different dimensions.
I'm doing the Secret Wars.
I'm doing the Secret Wars, everybody. Get ready.
Yeah.
You better stretch. I'm doing the Secret Wars. But also, this guy like fell into another pocket
Do I have
dimension.
time to take a smoke break before the Secret Wars? Yeah, you can take you take a smoke break. It's fine. I did Secret Wars. What I wonder so it feels like, when you play a video game and there's a big boss maybe at the end of the game, and then in the next game that boss is around again, but he's just a regular guy.
He's on the roster.
He's just on the regular roster.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Mortal Kombat 2. I'm talking about Mortal Kombat 2 or like Doom or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd feel like maybe what I think maybe is that the problem is in a multiverse there's an infinite number of these guys.
Yes.
So either you have them fight an infinite number of Avengers, which is going to be a nightmare, or you have the regular number of Avengers plus some multiverse guys. Maybe you bring back some Spider-Mans and some Fantastic Fours and so forth.
Yeah.
But I think what they're going to do is they're going to go, see that stadium full of Kangs? That's all there is. There's a few thousand of them.
Yeah.
For reasons to do with multiversal barriers or whatever. And they're sort of cannon fodder.
Yeah.
They can do what Kang can do in this, and they've got lasers or whatever.
I think you're right, yeah.
And
you can have a big battle in a field or whatever.
Yeah. And the three other Kangs, the Immortus Ramatut and Centurion Cyborg Man.
Yeah.
They're the main guys. I think what's going to happen is we're going to get, I don't know, maybe somebody will come up with a doodad and be like, we've cut them all off from the multiverse. So that's all there is. No more multiverse.
Do you think the version of Kang from this movie, though, is going to come back?
Initially, I thought...
Because I'll talk about some deleted stuff, but he wasn't supposed to die initially.
Oh, really? Okay.
The early leaks.
Well, I wondered if perhaps...
Because I think he's the most compelling villain. I know we haven't seen Pharaoh Man and whatever yet. We haven't seen any of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt the fact that he's scary enough to the rest of them that they will exile him.
Right, yes.
And that he has now a personal vendetta against Ant-Man in this particular realm that he's stuck in. That's more interesting than a pharaoh and a robot or whatever.
And he could go like, okay, well, I could destroy any number of universes, but I dislike this one.
In particular.
Yeah. I unshrunk myself, but my balls have remained quantum size.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he turns into the Beyonder and whatever. I don't know. But
I thought initially perhaps he was going to end up being the He Who Remains.
Okay,
like he gets shrunk down into the
he
quantum
might
engine,
be
the multiversal engine, and then he ends up there.
Yeah.
I think it's...
I think also we can, and this, because there's another post-credits, we could meet this version again in any timeline.
Yes.
He's met other Avengers. He's talked about it. So he might show up as a past or future version of himself.
Which is also makes things too complicated as
Agreed.
well. Yeah. I hope they got the bloody writing caps on to make future movies.
And I know I said before, it's not very...
Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
About the writing caps?
Yeah, no, you have to put it on.
Yeah.
You have to put it on, you need a pen also. But maybe a whiteboard with some arrows. But, when you see, a pharaoh or whatever in a stadium, and then Loki we see Victor Timely, who's maybe this version of Kang previously.
That's a fun Easter egg, James. You know why? Timely Comics.
That is true.
Marvel used to be called.
Whereas
they put their writing caps on for that one, I'd say that.
That's true. But I can't. This is why I'm not that excited, because I don't see I didn't get a clear sense of what's happening. Whereas but that being said, Thanos turned around in Avengers 2012.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, that's a guy that just wants to destroy everything or whatever. Who he is. Whereas this, which is also, that on its own is not super exciting.
Yeah.
But I think this is too much to be like, oh, wow, what's going to happen? But it's also too confusing to be like, well, I could puzzle this out, but...
Yeah. Also...
It's literally infinite possibilities of things going forward.
Infinite possibilities leads to not... lack of engagement with the...
Yeah.
And again, they need to nail down the limitations of this villain and where and when he can appear, because otherwise it is a case of, well, if there's infinite realities, you can defeat him infinite number of times and he'll still come back, kind of thing. Also, one of the criticisms I think of Endgame, which is, you might consider pretty valid, is that the Thanos that they fight in Endgame is just a guy who doesn't really know anything about them.
No.
He's just
he's the one whose dimension they stumbled into.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, oh, I guess I'll kill them all. Yeah. I don't know. I got a free afternoon. I guess I'll jump through their time portal and kill them or whatever.
Yeah.
And he spends, he literally does the memeable line where, Scarlet Witch is like, you took everything from me, and he's like, I don't know.
Did I?
Did I? Huh. Did I cut in front of you at the supermarket or something? For my soup ingredients. All the stuff that I was cooking.
That's very good. Yeah. No, that's not incorrect, I guess. But
so the question being is if you keep killing this guy, and then in the last movie it's like, and Kang's back, it's like a Kang is back.
Yeah. That's what I mean, which is why I think they should have probably lent into that, and maybe they still will, that this is the guy.
Yes, right. This is the one. Because
he's also interesting.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Because depending on who you ask, he's either more of a good guy or more of a bad guy, depending.
Well, either way, that's
depending on whether you think that somebody destroying a bunch of dimensions and destroying entire timelines with trillions of people in them, do you think that's bad?
Yeah.
See, I thought the idea I thought that when the idea that Michelle Pfeiffer's character, whose name I will not recall, Janet
Van Dyne.
Janet, when she touches his ship, she sees what he's done, and she's like, oh, he's a mass murderer, etc. Yeah. That I thought that there was missing a lot of context. That's the misunderstanding that he should have put a post-it note on the ship that said, I did it for a good reason.
Did it because it was cool.
I did it because it was cool. Yeah. That's also why I smoke.
Yeah.
So I'm smoking
Have
right now.
I got time to have a smoke before Secret Wars?
That's right.
Yes.
But also, they're going to need, if he does return for the next thing, I guess
he's going to have to say, I'm the one from
the previous one.
Yeah.
They're going to need Ant-Man to be like, that's him?
Yeah.
Or they'll just have Janet Van Dyne in a scene and she'll be like, I'd know him anywhere. He's the one from before.
Yeah. But also, wouldn't there be a version of him that's lived this exact existence?
There'd be an infinite...
Who met a Janet Van Dyne and also the Wasp kicked him into a portal or whatever?
Because we need to know how many... We need to...
There needs to be a lid on how many
because
of these
the
there
MCU universe, supposedly it's Earth 616, but it's not, because the Marvel MCU universe is Earth 199999. So there's at least 200,000... parallel Marvel universes, maybe, I don't know, or more or less, I don't know. It depends how you number them.
And you do a time travel and you add another one.
Yeah, and given the thing about infinite universes is there's infinite versions of the Kang that stepped left, and there's an infinite versions where he stepped right or whatever. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I mean, it was cool that the Wasp came back and did a thing.
I think that was cool also.
Yeah.
I liked the bit where he was a team of ants. I thought that was a fun little reversal of the.
That was good. Here's something.
But again, but also the thing where, there's 10 seconds in this movie of the smart ants, and then a couple of seconds of Michael Douglas going, what's that in my ear? Is it a smart ant? And then at the end it's like, hey, look, it's all the smart ants, and they've built so many weapons and mechs and whatever they can easily defeat.
They really didn't explain those smart ants. So, like, how did he make them? Because he put little helmets on them or whatever.
Yeah, how did they get smart? And they're building stuff. What are they building?
Yeah.
Are they building?
They were in there for 1,000 years, but they weren't in there for 1,000 years. And when they came out, it was regular time.
Time dilation, yeah.
I
mean, but it's also the same.
But they didn't get no time dilation.
It's the same criticism of, like, well, if the bad guys shoot a laser at somebody and they disintegrate, why is it that when Ant-Man gets big, they can shoot 100 lasers at him and he's fine?
Because he's big.
Big molecules, I guess. It's probably the big molecules.
It's probably
the big molecules.
Anyway, I just want to quickly get back to Modoc.
Go on.
I would have loved the idea of him being this recurring loser.
Yes.
An absolute psycho.
He makes it out of the quantum
gun for
realm.
hire. And and maybe he's running a little company and whatever and all of that.
I did like...
But they just... Yeah. He just kind of does a heel turn and for good.
I did a face turn.
Thank you.
Which is ironic.
Yeah.
But that's what they call it.
That's yes.
I did like that Cassie had that
they had a history.
Supposedly it was this this man who haunted her nightmares and etc.
Yeah.
She seemed mostly pretty well adjusted.
Yeah.
But and then she finally got to conk him on the head or whatever.
And she's just like, stop it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Come on. Stop being a dick kind of thing.
He's just like, I'm an Avenger or whatever,
Yeah. The best looking that Modoc effect was when he was just a puddle on the ground and he's coughing up goo.
Yeah.
I think that's when the effect looked.
I think because you put the grit and the goo and the blood and all of that on him and that adds
But I think you're right. I think maybe he should have changed his ways, made the sacrifice, or maybe, and then we learn he survives and he makes it out of the quantum realm, and then he's just a weird mercenary. I love the idea that he'd just be floating around the regular Earth.
Yeah. I wouldn't even think, don't even do the change. Just have him get out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, that could work too, yeah.
Anyway, I guess we should quickly talk about Victor Timely. So at the end, Loki and Owen Wilson, they're in the 20s or something. and they look at the stage.
They're in the 90s. You
Yes,
can obviously
they're
tell from the sepia tone.
You're right.
And they're wearing their Air Jordans.
And they look up, and they're at a some kind of science demonstration
Yes.
situation, and it's one of the Kangs. And he's like, "Hello, I'm Victor Timely, and I'm Dimensions and such." And Loki's like, "Oh no, that's spooky. This is a spooky time."
That's right.
And Owen Wilson's like, "I don't think it is a spooky time." And Loki's like, "Trust me, it's definitely going to be a spooky time."
Now Loki is quite confident. Is he confident that is literally the one who remains?
Well, that's
or is he confident that's just a Kang?
Or yeah,
because I didn't.
No, he didn't have the things and whatever.
So he didn't have the scars.
Not that I
face.
saw. He might have.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like he could have been the one from this dimension earlier, because he doesn't seem to age. So he could have, like, he stayed in there longer than Janet Van Dyne, but he didn't age and she did. So I think there's something going on with his, like, he could be from anywhere.
Yeah. Also, I think they're going to go with, like, if they want to explain the quantum realm, they can just be like, pockets of time.
Yeah.
Over here, you'd age faster.
Yeah.
Over here,
but I think he's immortal. I think also,
Yes,
like,
I
he's
think so,
applied some kind of serum.
Or a
And he's
cream,
immortal.
perhaps.
Or a cream, or a time stick.
Perhaps he drunk an eternal youth shake, like Hugh Laurie in the movie Tomorrowland.
I haven't seen that movie.
Yes, you have.
Except I have
You
seen
have
that
seen
movie.
it. You have seen it.
It's not about whether I've seen it, it's about whether I remember it.
Is season 2 of Loki coming out before Kang Dynasty? And,
yeah,
okay, well then I reckon Loki will be a lot of explaining
Stuff.
how many Kangs there are, and they're going to cross their fingers and hope everybody is going to watch it, because otherwise...
Well, they'll still explain it in the movie, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yes.
Here's some deleted scenes, though.
Okay.
This is via comicbookmovie.com, via Marvel Studio spoilers on Reddit. So Hope Van Dyne had a son. Yeah, that's even on Instagram. But that was supposed to be in the scene when you saw the infinite versions of Ant-Man.
Wait, so Hope Van Dyne is Evangeline Lilly's
Yes.
character? Okay, right.
And... because, you see the different Paul Rudds, and one of them is the Baskin-Robbins guy.
Oh, of course, yeah.
She was going to experience, like, different versions of herself.
But she didn't
and
receive
one
any
was
visions.
the son,
Yeah,
and she had
right.
long hair.
Oh.
And they were going to get...
so many different haircuts.
I agree.
Hope Van Dyne would have in roles
I
themselves.
agree. They're also going to show up with black and neon Ant-Man and Wasp costumes at the end, and Wasp would have, like, lightsaber kind of wings.
Oh.
So you could cut through stuff, I guess. At the end, Kang was going to escape the quantum realm, and Scott and Hope were stuck there. And it felt like it could have gone that way, because at the end they're standing there, and then the portal opens, and then it cuts to what could easily be a reshoot of him being like, everything's fine, or is it?
See, that's my favorite joke. That's what I was going with.
The impending sense
the impending
of doom.
doom. I thought
Yeah.
I was going to say Kevin Rudd. Paul Rudd. Speaking about impending doom. Paul, I like the idea that he's just walking down the street, and then we get that intense moment.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know if we did the right thing.
Yeah.
Which is how you would always be feeling in the Marvel Universe,
Yes.
I think. Especially when you end up in this cosmic
Because you probably
treadmill
shot
of-
a ship out of the sky and it killed a family or something.
Yeah, exactly. But the moment where he's like, just the where he was walking down the street when they have dinner, where both of the times where he's like, I don't think any of us fully understood what was happening there.
I got big and I punched some stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't know whether that's... Yeah, I think that probably speaks to the thing where you were saying, where he was a guy who was maybe among Kangs was a force for good.
Yeah, I mean, in the statistically speaking,
Yeah.
I think that was.
And I know there will be people in the comments, especially if this becomes a YouTube video, which it will, who will be like, well, obviously it's this. And I just want to say, hey, we don't fucking know that yet. So you might think something, and you might even turn out to be right.
You might even be able to back it up with some lore that's been in a movie or TV series. Well, guess what? We didn't rewatch any of it. We don't remember anything. We're old. But we represent the average viewer. We don't know anything. That's why we're so popular.
That's right.
Because we don't know anything and we refuse to learn. That's the general public, baby.
It certainly is. So yeah, this will all be probably even made clear in an interview this week.
Yeah, probably.
Where Kevin Feige will be like, yeah, he was this and whatever. And maybe you won't see the last of him and etc.
Yeah.
But at this point, we don't know. There are literally infinite possibilities of who's doing anything in those movies.
I wonder if test audiences were like... because
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe if test audience was like, we didn't like the fact that they were maybe stuck in
And
the quantum
didn't he
realm
get stuck in the last one?
Yes, he did. You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's how I thought the movie was going to go when
so did I.
Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly jump.
Well, there'd be some kind of sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
But no. Something to think about.
Also, the last moments of the movie were in the trailer, so that's pretty.
That's certainly
true.
true.
The last action sequences, at least. So that's a bit.
Got some reviews here, Mason, from people who were kind enough to send them to us. This is from Stephen, who says, #WeeklyPlanetPod. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania might be the best Star Wars film. Love Jonathan Majors. Really love the movie, actually. Silly, fun, spectacular. Apparently, Kang's weakness is just a really tall dude, though. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the bit where he was brutal and just like kicking Scott Lang in the face.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
That's right, yeah.
This is from Art T. Panda, who says, Ant-Man Green Screen Mania. Had some fun moments, but is generally terrible and yet another step in pushing the Eternals to the middle of the MCU quality scale. Story and characters were so underdeveloped and cliche. Nice creature design, though. And username that's witty at first says, hashtag Weekly Planet Pod. Saw Ant-Man on Thursday, and I say best movie ever, although I think it is a bit dense for someone who is not familiar with the MCU and comics. Also crazy that we got a comic-accurate Council of Kangs before a second Justice League. Well, that's not true, because we had Justice League 2017, and then we had 4-hour Justice League.
That's true, we had 4-hour Justice League.
With the sides cut off.
Like 4-hour energy Justice League.
That's it. Anyways, anything else?
We mentioned it, but Bill Murray's in that. He's channeling SNL in the sense that he's reading his lines off cue cards.
Does he get eaten?
Yes.
Do we even see that properly?
We do.
I feel like it happens like in the background, right?
Yeah, but we're pretty sure he gets eaten. Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff.
It is great stuff.
I did like seeing Bill Murray and Michael Douglas together. Something about
that's
that.
True,
I was
yeah.
like, that's a fun combo.
Yeah.
These two old men who probably filmed on different days.
That's right, yeah.
All right, should we move on to the next segment of the show?
Yes.
But what is it?
It's what we're reading.
Oh my God, what else is it?
It's what we're going to read.
He's got it again.